Hello! This video is a little bit different than usual. It's not really tips on how to get what you want, it's more about tips on how to handle rejection in this dreadful process that is trying to become a psychologist. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. I don't know of anyone that hasn't faced rejection at some point or another, and I definitely don't know any aspiring psychologists who haven't faced rejection. So yeah, how to handle it, how to feel better, how to not give up. This process is just absolutely brutal. You can ask any aspiring psychologists about that. Everyone who's been at any stage in that process will tell you one thing: you need resilience, and I guess rejection builds it. And you will get your fair share of rejection. I can say with confidence that virtually no one has gotten from undergrad to training without like a rejection at some point. No one has gotten their AP job as like the first one that they ever applied for. I don't even think anyone has got an interview for like the first ever AP job that they applied to. So you need resilience, basically, is what I'm trying to say. The video is kind of close to my heart because I can be an emotional person and I'm not, you know, as strong as a rock, and I do get sad and I do get demoralized, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. So if you're watching this, I want you to know you're not the only one. So I thought maybe talking about my experiences and what I've learned from that could help someone. So that's why I made this video. It can be difficult when you apply for a job and you don't hear back for 6 weeks, and then you're being told that you have to assume that you're being rejected, or you go to an interview finally that you think went really well and they tell you that just they went with someone else because you didn't have enough experience. It takes a toll. It saddens me that everyone, well, a lot of us have to go through that. And I know some people will handle it better than others, so I just put a lot of tips that can apply to different people. So talking about tips, there's going to be 4 broad categories that I've named amazingly. So the first category is going to be taking a break. Second category of tips is going to be stop comparing yourself to others. Then third, continue improving. And fourth, get some perspective. If you're interested in any of this or you want to commiserate together, keep on watching this video. Part 1. Taking a break. This is such a classic. This one comes first because it's easy-ish and it's tangible. Like, you literally can take the steps to take a break. In previous videos, I told people if there's an AP job that comes up, you have to be ready to apply for it immediately, take the time aside to modify your application really fast, and it can be so draining. Staying alert like that, preparing for interviews for days, it takes a lot out of you, and you can't do that sustainably for months. You need to relax. I need to relax. I am guilty of trying too hard and not taking time for myself. So I need to relax and take more breaks and try less hard sometimes, or keep trying as hard but not for as many things. You need to have days where your mind isn't focused on becoming a psychologist. That's something, again, that I've been guilty of, is just letting my thoughts just become consumed with that, and just always thinking of like, oh, like my to-do list of things, how to improve my CV, which jobs I've applied for, how can I improve my competitiveness, how can I make myself a better candidate, what other options are there. And it's like, okay, but when I'm not thinking about that, what do I think about? Who am I? What do I like? What did I used to do when I wasn't applying for all those jobs? So if you're looking for permission, I'm here giving it to you. It's okay to take a break. If you feel your mental health take a dip, go ahead, take time for yourself and to heal and to recharge. You can't pour from an empty cup. And it's okay to be stressed. We all are, I think. I really want to emphasize, sometimes you do things that you think are working for you, but they're working against you. I am part of a few Facebook groups on like Facebook about how to become psychologists and like assistant psychologists, tips, applications, and I follow a few people like that, like on Twitter as well, and it just spills over your free time, because now I'm like scrolling on Facebook and I see reminders of that. People are asking for advice, people are asking, is this experience enough? Or I'm on Twitter and again I see research stuff and I'm like, oh, how can I do research? And it's just, I need to make a better separation between that competitive mind and my personal life. Part 2. Stop comparing yourself to others. That one is really hard, and it's pretty much impossible, especially if you've been doing the thing I said in the part 1, where you need to be in contact, because you want to be collaborative as well with all the other aspiring APs and psychologists. You want to have a community, but then because it uplifts you, but it can also weigh you down so much because you're just constantly reminded of everyone else's achievements. You spend so much time reading forums, talking to your course mates, browsing social media, watching videos like this, and then one thought just commonly arises. They're better than me, they're more qualified than me, if they're not getting in, why would I? I want to emphasize this right now. That's not true. They're not better than you, and them not getting into a place doesn't mean that you can't. I know that clinical experience and research experience are important for AP jobs and clinical training, but it's not just about that. It's not about just ticking boxes, or maybe it is for the shortlisting, but when it comes to interviews, anything could happen, and I swear that is true, because they tick the boxes to select people who can do the job. But when it comes to the interview, they want to know who they would rather be doing that job, because everyone at this point can do it, so that they could technically hire anyone, but then they want to know you and your values and your personality. Did you prepare enough for the interview? Like, can you align with their values? Can you give appropriate, like, professional interview answers, which has nothing to do with experience. So if you get to interview stage, for sure, you're completely as qualified as the other ones there, and you shouldn't think about the other interviewees. Again, one could have 1 year full-time experience as an AP, and one could have 2 different positions, like one 6 month as a support worker and one 6 month as a research assistant. One of them is not more attractive than the other. It really depends. There's not a winning formula. That's super important. If you think of someone that has way much more experience than you, try to think that they may not be as reflective as you, they may not know what they gained from it, as opposed to you, who can completely and skillfully extract the valuable information, skills and experience that you got through your life, and experiences that were not necessarily AP. One, on the other hand, could be very ambitious and eager, asked to spend more time with a psychologist, asked to get more tasks on their workload while taking care of themselves, and people will notice that. Psychologists and interview panelists, they will notice that you're eager, and I know we're all eager, I guess, and I guess that's what matters more than experience. So even though your mind may automatically compare your CV with other people's CV, you need to take that extra step of taking a step back and realizing that it's not about bullet points on a CV, and it's about your interpretation of it. It's not as easily comparable as it might seem. It really just isn't about comparing it point by point. Don't overvalue the work that others have done while simultaneously undervaluing the work that you have done. A little exercise that you can do if you want is speak to a friend or the mirror and just hype yourself up as if you're talking about someone else. Like, really boast, talk about the amazing stuff you've done, how incredible it is that you've come so far, your amazing dissertation project, your amazing feedback you've received. Keep a journal of all the good things people say about you, like supervisors or tutors or friends even. Try to surround yourself with positivity so that you have less things to feel bad about when you do compare yourself with others. Part 3. Continue to improve. That one is a bit contradictory with the first step, which was take a break, but you can do it later. So that one is that if you keep being rejected, it may be for a reason, but in the sense that a no is not a no, it's a not yet. In this context, consent is important. It's really hard to do when no feedback is given. I applied to 2 masters for CAAP last year, and it was devastating because I poured my heart and soul into the applications. I didn't hear back for months, and then I was just told to assume that I wasn't selected, and then got the email like a month later saying that I wasn't selected. Like, yeah, thank you, I noticed. But there's no way to know what went wrong there, even though I really thought it was good. And then, I mean, same for all the AP positions. I've applied to so many without ever receiving feedback. It was just interviews that give you feedback. So how the hell are you supposed to improve if you don't know what's wrong? Well, there's a few things that are common sense. Get more experience. If you're like in a research experience, get some more research. If you're like in clinical, get some more clinical. So fill in the gaps that you have. If you've been jumping from opportunity to opportunity, that can be good because it gives you like some variance and like a wide wide range, but maybe it's time to settle. Try to show that you can commit fully. Try to really just take the most the position has to offer by fully immersing yourself in it and stay there for at least 6 months. That's usually what they want for the doctorate application. On the contrary, if you've been at the same place for 2 or 3, 5 years and you've never done anything else, even though it might be like the most relevant clinical experience, maybe it's time to see what's out there and what else you can gain. Maybe if you've been working in the NHS, try to get a little voluntary or third sector experience. And on the other hand, if you've only been doing voluntary in third sector, try to get some NHS experience, because it's really good to see what the difference between the two will be, and it will make you a more reflective practitioner. Try to improve your application writing skills. Maybe you do have all the experience and the skills, but you just can't sell yourself well enough, and that one again is really frustrating, but there's lots of help out there. Ask friends, families, tutors, lecturers. If you have access to a psychologist, by all means, ask them if they would be so willing to help you. Some people on Twitter sometimes offer to look at applications, which is really nice, especially if you're from minorities. There's something going on recently, a movement of people really encouraging, obviously, applications from people that are minorities, and to make that more accessible, they offer free feedback. Don't pay for it. I wouldn't recommend that. That's just, it furthers the inequalities, because it's unfair that some people will have the means to pay for tailored applications and some will not. And also it just sort of reinforces that people can get away with it, so don't be a part of that system. What's really useful is the uni career services, if you still have access to them as an undergrad or as a master's student or a postgrad or a graduate. Definitely go back there, ask them to look at your CV, practice interview skills. You can also try to practice your reflective skills, maybe try to write some more reflective essays, learn how to answer reflectively to questions. That one is such a tricky one. It took me a while to get my head around what it meant to be reflective, but as a starting point, you should look into some models of reflection, like the Gibbs model as a very starting point, but you should look into reflexivity, because that one will just, it will always come up. No matter what you do, where you go, there's no escaping it. You will need to become reflective, so might as well start as soon as possible. And then lastly, maybe take a class or a course, employability skill, something to add on your CV, like the assist training for suicide, or like first aid mental health, just anything that will look more attractive. Maybe a course on like R or Excel, SPSS. Try to get more qualifications and training, but again, don't spend a fortune on that because it's not necessary. But if that's the area that you want to focus on or the avenue you want to go to, that's an idea. So anyway, that's pretty much like shots in the dark, but if they do give you feedback at interviews or on your applications, spend all of your energy and effort to correct that and improve. Perhaps your nerves got the better of you during the interview and they told you that someone was just more confident. Work on that. Perhaps they told you that someone had more experience than you. Get more experience. Maybe like me, you didn't go into enough depth at the interview and someone just gave a little bit more details in their answers, so then focus on giving better interview questions. Try to enjoy the process as well as much as you can. Try to enjoy the courses that you do, the jobs that you do, the things that you learn, people you work with, people you connect and meet. It's not, I don't want you to see your journey to become a psychologist as a means to an end. The journey itself is valuable, and becoming a psychologist takes years. Pretty much, I think the average, like if we count undergrad, maybe it will take 10 years. You don't want those 10 years to have just been something you need to go through for your goal. You need those 10 years to be as valuable as the years that will follow your qualification. And lastly, part 4, have some perspective. Now, as a warning, this section might make you feel a little sad at first because I will be brutal, but I will be more uplifting at the end, so keep watching this section till the end. There are a few things that are easy to forget in the midst of this process, in the chaos. Let's not lie to each other, it is competitive and there are thousands of people like you who want to get the job. So this advice is just to help you realize that it's not personal, so don't take it personally. No one here is saying you would be a bad psychologist. It's not about that. It's just that out of all of the possible good psychologists out there, there's not enough place for all of them right now. Psychology is one of the most popular degrees in the UK. Every uni has at least, for sure, 1 bachelor's in psychology, and a lot of them have like, you know, 5-10 variations of it, like one with science, one with business, psychology and sociology, psychology with a focus on animal behavior. It's a money-making machine and they get so many graduates every year and they're happy to do that. But then the consequence of that is that they just produce so many psychology graduates who most of them have the same idea in mind, and there's nowhere near enough places for those. So it's not you, it's the system. The doctorate success rate is 15% overall, But what the stats doesn't tell you is that the actual individual uni success rate is like 3-4%. Because you apply to 4 different unis, the cumulative chance is 15%. But if you really have your heart set on one particular uni, well, you have like less than 5% chance to get into that. Which again, not saying that to demoralize you, but to make you realize that you willingly are engaging into a competitive process which will be challenging by nature, and it's the process that is challenging. It's not you who are bad at it. Does that make sense? And the success rate for the doctorate used to be higher actually. It used to be 20 to 30%. So there's just like double as many applicants for the same places, pretty much. All of that to say that the odds are against you, which means that if you are not getting a place right now, it's probably because of the odds, but that doesn't mean that next year the odds will be worse, because the applications will always be different. People drop out, people change careers, people decide to stop trying. I know a lot of people just after 4 or 5 applications for a doctorate, they just say, I'll go a different route. So that could be one place for you. It's an upstream battle that will be full of obstacles, but it will make it that much more rewarding at the end. So we're all in the same boat. We all need to apply multiple times, usually to get in. Almost everyone has the same fears. We all have imposter syndrome. We all want to give up sometimes as well, I'm pretty sure. We all feel discouraged, and if you get rejected, it's not because you weren't good for the role. It's just that they were more suitable candidates at the time, but nothing is saying that the next time you'll be unsuccessful again, especially if you do tip number 3 and you keep making yourself more competitive and employable. Also, do not think that they have all the powers and that their word is absolute truth. If a psychologist rejects you and tells you, no, like we're going with someone else, don't think that that means you should give up. They are professionals and they are really good at what they do, but they don't hold your fate in your hand as much as you think they do or as much as you let them. So yeah, this section is just to let you know that you're not alone in what you feel and that the odds are really stacked against you, but people make it. Like, even if 15% seems small, that's still hundreds and hundreds of people that are getting on it, and that completely could be you, so don't give up. Okay, that's it for today. It was a little bit of a different tone, a bit more conversational, I think, maybe a bit gloomy. I don't know, I tried to make it both gloomy, well, I didn't try to make it gloomy. I tried to make it relatable, but also uplifting, so I hope I didn't make anyone feel bad. I hope I alleviated some of the stress and worries that you may have, or feelings of insecurity and loneliness. If you ever need to reach out or speak to someone about feeling discouraged, you can always message me. And then, yeah, just the tips. Take a break, come to it later, talk to your friends, uplift yourself, talk to yourself the same way you would talk to a friend, be positive. If you like the video, give it a like. If you have a question, you can comment. If you like my content or my channel, definitely subscribe. It's really good, I promise. If you have any requests, let me know. I'll do my best to do something on that, and I'll see you all later.